She did drop an F-bomb, so I feel a lot better about it. I said zap to the nuts in my speech. Emma said, take that out, and now I feel so good about everything I said. In reality, I was very nervous about speaking to you all today, so I was going to picture you all with your pants down or whatever the normal thing is, but Emma said, just think about how much you love them, and so that's what I'm going to do instead. So here we go. So for those who haven't met, my name is Victor Gambano, and I have the great pleasure of being Mark's best man. And I'd like to thank Mark and Kate for giving me the honor of speaking in front of 125 people, and the New York Presbyterian Hospital System for supplying me with the National Provider Identification Number that allowed me to prescribe myself propranolol to help curb my fear of public speaking. By the way, I initially took 10 milligrams, then I saw Mr. Bissell's speech, and I took another 10. That MD got me somewhere, not very far, but somewhere. I'd also like to extend a very sincere thank you to the Von Eisenbergs and the Bissells for bringing us all together today, with an extra special thank you to Mrs. Bissell and Mrs. V for putting this all together. You guys don't get enough thank yous. When Mark asked me to be his best man, this was back in April, and I started jotting down ideas for the speech. It got written this morning. He was like, do I have anything to worry about? I was like, no, man, you're good. Yeah, you had something to worry about. But he looked at me that day and he said, dude, you've taught me so much, and I remember thinking about the irony of those words, given that the only things that I can really think of that I might have taught Mark were how to be incredibly anal about which drawer each kitchen tool goes in, the use of metal prep bowls to establish mise en place, and that Riesling doesn't always have to be sweet and Chardonnay doesn't always have to be buttery. In fact, being a Miami boy in the Northeast, I have made a considerable ass out of myself on many occasions, and I've been the student rather than the teacher to many of Mark's wise life lessons. Importantly, that we are all personally liable for salting the sidewalk in front of our own condos, and if someone were to crack their head open on ice that we neglected to defrost with copious amounts of salt, we're screwed. You did not know that. We have palm trees. Also, equally importantly, that fall is in fact the best season, and that the date of this wedding was 100% a non-negotiable for Mark, as nobody is more titillated by a crisp fall afternoon than Marky Mark himself. Mark and I actually met around this time of year back in 2018 in our master's program at Georgetown, and I don't think there has ever been a time in either of our lives where we were more focused and driven. We pushed each other to go to the gym every day at 5 in the morning. I haven't done that since then. Before class, and then we went to study together for hours on end. And those study sessions occasionally were interrupted by absolutely shredding the St. X dance floor. That was more so Mark than me. He was a total liability. Nonetheless, I ended with a 3.8 GPA and Mark, of course, a 4.0. Mr. Perfect. So much so that when we graduated, Mark waited almost a year before he found the perfect job, and until he did, took up a job at Brooks Brothers, as Kristen mentioned earlier. They say it was the fastest anybody in the history of the company worked their way up to the role of janitor. You do look great though. Eventually he did find a job that suited his interests, and he did it well, working his way up through the ranks at Avalier in record time. That's how Mark is. Methodical, intentional, and patient. A skeptic in the best way possible. And when he met Kate, he knew early on that she was the girl he was going to marry. We spent many car rides on the way to golf courses, talking about his hesitation to take the next big leap and ask her to be his wife. And it had nothing to do with uncertainty. His question was always the same. How is it possible that I got it so right on the first try? To this day, neither of us have ever been able to answer that question. But we know it to be the truth. Mark found his perfect girl, and any girl I ever dated was initially introduced to Mark and Kate before anyone else, and if they didn't pass the Mark and Kate test, it ended right there. I seek your approval because I want so badly to have a relationship as pure and as genuine as yours. Every man wants a woman like Kate who will whip them into shape and do it with the utmost style and grace. Kate, you are the embodiment of class and elegance, truly. You're a gem. You have You've managed to turn a guy who cut chicken on the stove with a metal knife in my non-stick pans into an esteemed... It sucked. And it goes away. I now have stainless steel. Thank you. Into an esteemed gentleman whose new favorite pastime is a Sunday stroll through the local farmer's market or Costco, where he buys bulk meats and then vacuum seals each individual cut. You have made him want to be a better man for you, and it's been so unbelievably cool to watch. Mark. You've assumed the role of not only my mentor and Northeast guru, but also my best friend, brother, therapist, dance partner, and just about everything else in between. You've never been shy to sing my praises, complimenting dishes that I know damn well were a tremendous failure, as well as sing the praises of those that you love, which makes you the world's greatest son, brother, father, and now husband. Kate, I don't need to tell you how lucky you are. I can see your love for one another in each other's eyes. It's clear to both of you and to anyone else who sees you together that you each realize that you have met your match and can no longer live without one another. I love you both endlessly, and I'm so incredibly honored to be a part of this day. And I feel extremely lucky to be a small part of your life and cherish you both more than I can ever put into words. Seeing the two of you get married today brings me ineffable joy, and I look forward to watching the two of you conquer life together. And I didn't bring my glass of wine. So cheers to this couple who we are all so lucky to know and to be a part of their lives. Thank you all for being here. I'm so happy I got the mic that worked.
Let's hear it for the toasts.